My M2 long-termer was going back to BMW, so I took it for one last blast. Every time you start the M2 you have to choose sport mode to kill the annoying driver assistance systems. I filled it with a tank full of the good stuff and hit the road. The weather was terrible. It would improve, only to get much, much worse again. The idea was to avoid motorways and dual carriageways as much as possible, sticking to better roads. First to the Brecon Beacons, where it was just a little bit chilly, then further north towards mid-Wales. I was aiming for the spectacular Elan Valley in the Cambrian Mountains, one of my favourite parts of a country I love. The engineering nerd in me adores exploring the network of dams, and the scenery is breathtaking.
Now, a lot of the roads around here are pretty narrow. They do open up in places. But I just love driving here. I love being here. It's so quiet. It feels so remote, like you're miles and miles from anyone and anything. Actually, I feel like I'm all the way up in the far north of Scotland, not a couple of hours from home. I love it. These roads are a proper challenge. They are narrow. They really do undulate a lot, up and down, left, right. They're all over the place. You need to have a lot of confidence in your car. You need that car to have really good, consistent grip. And you need to pay attention because these are tricky, deceptive roads. In an earlier video, I described exactly what this BMW M2 is like to drive. You can click the link now if that's what you're looking for, a sort of detailed review. Here, I just want to give the big picture, the broad strokes. It's not a touchy-feely, delicate kind of sports car like certain Porsches, like a Lotus, maybe like an Alpine. Those cars can be really good fun to drive at low speeds in traffic because you enjoy the ride, you enjoy the balance, you enjoy the steering, maybe the gear shift. This isn't that sort of car. Ultimately, it's derived from a saloon car, 3 Series BMW. So it's never going to be like one of those Lotuses or Porsches or Alpines. Instead, you have to dominate this car. You have to take it by the scruff and really give it a kicking. And then it's a proper hooligan and it's massively good fun to drive. You have to get right up it, lean on the chassis, and the chassis balance is fantastic. The ride is actually excellent. The steering is really good. This is a heavy car, 1,800 kilograms probably with me on board. That's a lot, but somehow they disguise the weight really well. I love having a manual gearbox in a modern performance car. It's not the best manual ever, but it's a manual. And the engine, twin turbo, straight 6, it's magnificent. It sings, it revs really hard, loads of power, loads of torque, good response, a lovely 6-cylinder soundtrack. Yeah, it's fantastic. And when you start using all the grip, making the most of the body control, using all the performance, you really are clipping along very, very fast. This is a rapid car. The previous M2, at least until they did the updated competition one, was actually quite a wild thing. Not in a good way. Its body control wasn't there. So it didn't give you that much confidence, whereas this one, the body control is so well sorted, even though it's a much heavier car. So you've got loads of confidence in it. Say what you like about the way this car looks, say what you like about it costing almost 70 grand. It is brilliant to drive though.
Just when I turned around to head home, it looked like the sun might appear, only for this to happen. All of a sudden, winter was back with a vengeance.
Well, the weather has been pretty grim today for my last drive in this BMW M2. At times the sun has come out and I thought, here we go, spring's on its way, and then it will disappear again and the rain will come back. But right now we've just had a hailstorm and it's actually snowing. So that seemed like a good moment to pull over and talk about what this M2 has been like to live with. Look, you can see There's the baby seat. It's been essentially a family sports car for 6 months. It's carried my daughter, it's carried my family around the place. And that's kind of the point of this M2, right? A Cayman has got a better chassis, it just has, but you would expect that. It's a 2-seat mid-engine sports car. It should do. It would be weird if it didn't have a better chassis, but you can't put kids in the back. It's nothing like as practical as this M2. So if you do need more space than a Cayman offers you, it's got to be an M2 really, hasn't it? And unless you're spending more than 70 grand on a GTS 4-litre Cayman, you've got that rattly, slightly harsh, thrashy 4-cylinder turbo engine. In this, we've got a mega straight 6 with 2 turbos. So the BMW has got far and away the better engine. So what's it actually been like to use every day? Just really broadly capable, really broadly defined. It does the everyday stuff effortlessly. The low speed ride is pretty firm, but once you're over 30, 40 miles an hour, it becomes really good. Nothing's gone wrong. Nothing has gone wrong in this car in the 6 months that I've had it, but it would be pretty shocking if it broke down or if something failed. In fact, the only things that haven't quite worked as they should relate to my phone, which I'm filming on right now actually. There's a wireless charging pad down here in the armrest, and on a longer journey, so more than an hour, if the phone's charging and I'm using it for navigation and I'm using it for music or a podcast or an audiobook or something, after an hour or so, the phone will just overheat and it'll just give up, stop working. So you have to use a cable. In the last week or so, CarPlay has just refused to work. I just can't get CarPlay to work. If I was keeping the car, clearly I'd get that sorted. It's probably quite a simple fix, probably quite easy to do. Maybe it needs to go to the dealership or something. But because it's going back very, very soon, I'm not going to bother. By and large though, this M2 has been fantastic to knock about in as my daily for 6 months. Comfortable, fast, fun to drive, a bit of a hooligan when you want it to be, practical. I just don't know what else there is for this sort of money that does all of that. So yeah, a fine car. I'm going to miss it. I'm not home yet though. I've got, I don't know, 2 or 3 hours home. So I get to enjoy this M2 just a little bit longer.
Many thanks for watching. Please remember to subscribe to this YouTube channel and give this video a thumbs up.